Now, in Islam, we're not supposed to really expose our own flaws and our own wrongdoing and our mistakes from the past. But I can tell you that I was an absolute villain in my life. Yes, I was. There was a time, I assure you, there was a time when you would have been hard pressed to find anyone who was worse than me. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not bragging about it in any way whatsoever. I was diabolical. I was a diabolical man. Objectively, I was diabolical. It's true. In terms of character, oh yes, I was an objectively horrible person. Yes, I was. I didn't start out like that, but I became like that. I let myself become like that. So I don't know how I come across, but one thing that I know about myself, I know that I'm an intelligent man. And I know that I know how to read people and how to read situations. And at one time, I used all that intelligence and I used all those skills in ways that were, as I say, objectively nefarious. Yes, I did. Manipulative, coercive, exploitative, Machiavellian, selfish. You can say sociopathic even. That's fair. I was an agent of ruin. I was. I don't think there was anyone in my life at that time. I don't think there was anyone in my life at that time that I did not hurt, that I did not betray or deceive or use ruthlessly, cold-hearted, absolutely cold-hearted. I was a cold-hearted man. I'm telling you this for a reason. This is part of the Tarbiyah series, Ramadan Tarbiyah series, for a reason. Because I was like that while being a Muslim. I don't get to say, oh, I used to do horrible things before, but Islam saved me. No. In fact, the truth of the matter is that I was never even as bad as I was, or as bad as I became. I was never that bad when I was a non-Muslim. I didn't drink or do drugs or go to clubs or anything like that when I was a non-Muslim. I was committed to social work when I was young, before I became a Muslim. But I became one of those people who used the religion as a pretext. I used the religion as a cover. I used it as a camouflage. I wish I could say that I took my shahada and I stayed on the straight and narrow ever since. I truly wish I could say that, but it's not the case. It's not the case at all. But there are two things that I want you to understand. And I'm telling you this as a cautionary tale. As a cautionary tale. I don't talk about morality, and I don't talk about tarbiyah, and I don't talk about having good character as someone who is unacquainted with the opposite. You understand me? I was the embodiment of the opposite. That's the truth. But there are two things that you need to understand. The first is that as long as I was living that way, the truth of the matter is I was miserable. I was stressed. I was volatile. I had a hair-trigger temper. And nothing scared me at that time. Nothing scared me more than facing the truth. Nothing scared me more than accountability. And I knew, of course, I'm a Muslim. I was a Muslim. So I knew, of course, that accountability is inevitable. So you live in a state of constant fear. You live in a state of constant fear, constant tension, constant dread. And you're constantly trying, to keep a dozen plates spinning at the same time, trying to manage all of the people that you're manipulating, the people that you're lying to, trying to hold off the inevitable crashing down of the Ponzi scheme of your deception, the game that you're running. Because as long as that game is running, you think, as long as that game is running, no one gets hurt. And see, this is the second thing. This is the second thing that you need to understand, because it's actually horrific and horrifying. And that second thing is that you can be like this, you can act like this, you can be as bad as this, all while believing that you have good intentions. This is how people can lie to themselves. This is how you can deceive yourself. You hide things, you lie about things, you're evasive and secretive and so forth. Things that you know that no one would ever understand or approve of. You're doing things that people would never understand or approve of, but you have convinced yourself that you have the right to do it. You've justified them. You've justified these actions to yourself, but you know perfectly well that no one outside of yourself, that your justification would never make any sense to anyone else. No one else would ever accept your justification. But you think that you can just carry on like this. You think that you can just carry on, and as long as no one ever knows, and you think that if anyone finds out, then that would be the thing that hurt them. Them finding out would be the thing that hurt them. Not the thing that you're doing, but them finding out the things that you're doing. That's what would hurt them. So you're actually being considerate, right? You're being considerate. You're being responsible by keeping it all a secret. This is how it works. This is how people can lie to themselves. Like I say, this is how you can deceive yourself. This is a real world example of how shaitan can make the evil seem good to you and convince you that the wrong thing that you're doing is actually fine. So yes, there was a period in my life when I was truly, truly an abominable human being. And I got utterly curb stomped. I got utterly curb stomped for that. Figuratively, metaphorically. You know what curb stomping is? That's when you get your mouth opened on the side of a curb, and then someone stomps the back of your head. So that's what happened to me. That's what happened to my life. That's what happened to my life. My whole life got curb stomped. My whole life got curb stomped because that's what I deserved. That's what I earned. And everybody that I was doing wrong to, I lost. I lost, but from their perspective, they were relieved of me. You understand me? My losing them was them being saved from the person that I had allowed myself to become. Now, I don't normally talk about myself. I don't normally talk about my personal history at all. But I'm telling you this from the standpoint of tarbiyah. I'm telling you this from the standpoint of tarbiyah. Because no matter how low you might think you are, no matter how low you might actually be in terms of your character or in terms of your morals, I was lower than that. Trust me, I guarantee you, I was lower than that. However low you think you are, I was lower than that. And I got completely crushed for that. I was completely crushed for that. And when I tell you that I deserved it, when I deserved to be crushed for that, when I tell you that I earned that, no, I'm not being humble. You might think that that sounds like I'm being humble. I'm not at all. I'm saying that I deserved to be stopped from being bad. I told you I wasn't always like that. I wasn't always like that. I let myself become like that. But just like anybody else, my fitrah is good. Alhamdulillah. My fitrah is good. And being the way that I was against my nature. Being that way was a self-betrayal. And it's the same for anyone else. And I was so far gone down that path that it was very unlikely that I was ever going to reverse my trajectory, my own self, voluntarily. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala snatched me by the neck and slammed me face first into the consequences of my own actions, the consequences of my behavior. And that wasn't a punishment. I didn't even see it at that time as a punishment. I knew what it was. It was an intervention. You understand? It was an intervention. And since then, I have clawed my way out of the pit that I dug for my own self. I clawed my way back, little by little, year after year, setback after setback, dragged myself forward, tried to clean myself up, tried to stand myself up, and try to reclaim some semblance of alignment with my natural fitrah. And I can tell you that there is no way to do that. There is no way to do that whatsoever. There is no way to do that except by understanding that you are good, you are decent, you are honorable, and that you have betrayed yourself by ever being otherwise. Wallahi, there is no greater disrespect to your own self than doing wrong. There's no greater disrespect than that. And you have to understand that strictly adhering to a moral code, ruling yourself, policing yourself, keeping yourself in check, this is an absolute requirement. It's absolutely necessary. It's absolutely necessary. And it's the only way that you can ever truly respect yourself as you deserve to be respected. And that's the self-reproaching nafs, the nafs al-awama. This is the part of your psyche that blames you. This is the part of the psyche that indicts you. The part of your psyche that doesn't let you get away with it. Doesn't let you get away with that self-deception. Doesn't let you get away with those excuses and those justifications and so forth. You know what I mean. You know exactly what part of the psyche I'm talking about, because it's that part of your psyche that the West tries to silence as much as possible. Even if you go to a therapist, they'll try to make you silence it. They'll try to make you ignore it.